That leads into the third reason why it's so challenging for men, so many men and so many achievers to stick with the therapeutic process to achieve and experience happiness and unconditional love. Why is it so hard? Because of this third reason, which is that they're used to performance-based self-esteem. So what is that? This is where you only feel good about yourself if you perform well. Performance-based self-esteem in contrast to being-based or existence-based self-esteem, that you are worthy of love just because you exist, just because you are. And that's being-based self-esteem. So the most of the world that's focused on, obsessed about success, the self-help world, the self-improvement world, they have a very toxic view of self-worth and self-esteem, which is entirely performance-based. They have hammered into their minds and have had this in their minds since they were young, so it resonates with them. They're like, oh, of course, this makes a lot of sense. They often don't even question it, that their view of self-esteem and self-worth is based on their achievements, based on their performance, that they don't allow themselves to feel good about themselves until they have achieved some far-off goal that requires them to perform in a certain way. And that you'll hear this a lot snuck in there with feel-good, nice-sounding phrases like, be your best self. And if you're not your best self, then, well, what happens? Well, then you're not worthy of all of this stuff, all of this happiness, this wealth, or this woman, or these women, that you can never rest. This is performance-based self-esteem, and it's toxic. And it will block you from being able to accept those parts of you that are in all of us, that we all have, that are vulnerable, that are holding our vulnerable emotions of sadness, of pain emotionally, that are experiencing pain, ongoing pain that we've repressed into our unconscious until something triggers it, and then we go there. And part of what happens in the therapeutic process is triggering. It's to trigger the things we've been repressing so that we can now bring them into consciousness and begin to process them properly, and heal them and grow from there. So those three reasons are the most common for men of why it's so challenging for them to stick with the therapeutic process or even just begin it, which is toxic masculinity and the repression that comes from that. And the second is their normal coping strategies aren't working here in the therapeutic process. And the third is that they've bought into this background value system of what it takes to be worthy, which is the performance-based self-esteem view. Okay, so then what do we do about it? What can we do about this? How can you turn all of this toxicity and repression into a strength?